गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। दोस्तों मुझे चैट बॉक्स में ये लिख के बताएं कि आप किस किस सिटी से बिलोंग करते हैं। जैसे मैं कलकत्ता से हूं, तो आज मेरे कौन से दोस्त किस सिटी से हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं? सूरत, कोल्हापुर, राजकोट, गुड़गांव, चेन्नई, गुवाहाटी, मुंबई, कोलकाता, हैदराबाद। वाओ, ग्रेट। कल्याणी कलकत्ता से, बेंगलोर, कोल्हापुर, पूरे इंडिया की हर सिटी से लोग हमारे साथ जुड़ चुके हैं और जुड़ते जा रहे हैं। किशनगंज, नागपुर, त्रिची। वाओ, ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रेट। दोस्तों मैं आप सबसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं कि हम अपनी जिंदगी में किस उम्र में, किस पड़ाव में, इन विच एज ऑफ आवर लाइफ वी लर्न फास्टर एंड वी लर्न मोर? व्हेन वी आर फ्रॉम 40 टू 60, हम जब 40 से 60 साल के होते हैं तब ज्यादा सीखते हैं, फास्टर सीखते हैं, जल्दी सीखते हैं, या हम जब 18 से 45 की एज में होते हैं, 45 की एज में, तब ज्यादा सीखते हैं? when we are between 18 to 45, or when we are in the age bracket of toddler from 2 years to 12 years, हम जल्दी और फास्टर सीखते हैं? कौन सी एज ब्रैकेट में हम जल्दी और फास्टर सीखते हैं? Thank you for a quick reply, fast reply. 40, 60, 18, 45 situation, young basically, kids learn faster, toddler 2 to 12, 2 to 18. wow. दोस्तों क्या आप ये बता पाएंगे कि टोडलर्स इतनी जल्दी क्यों सीखते हैं? उनकी लर्निंग इतनी फास्ट क्यों होती है? जब बच्चा, आई एम श्योर मेरे घर में 2 किड है, मैंने उनकी जर्नी देखी है। तो वो बच्चे जब छोटे एज में होते हैं, जब 2 से 18 साल के एज में होते हैं, 20 में होते हैं, इनफैक्ट 2 से 10 साल के बीच में उनकी लर्निंग बहुत फास्ट होती है। ऐसा क्यों? डर नहीं होता, वेरी फोकस, नो डिस्ट्रैक्शन। संजय मेहता जी, क्लीन माइंड, नो बैगेज, या ओपन माइंड। ज्यादा बैगेज होने से बाद में क्लीन माइंड, हेड क्लीन हो जाता है। माइंड इज प्योर, ब्रेन कैप्चर्स फास्टर। थैंक यू दोस्तों फॉर योर क्विक रिप्लाई। दोस्तों मेरा ये मानना, मैंने ये ऑब्जर्व किया, या जितने मैंने साइकोलॉजी बुक पढ़ी उसमें ये बहुत नीट एंड क्लीन कहा गया है कि बच्चे ज्यादा इसलिए सीखते हैं कि उनमें क्यूरियोसिटी होता है। क्या आप इस बात से एग्री करेंगे? जब बच्चे टोडलर होते हैं, बिलो द एज 12 होता है, उनमें क्यूरियोसिटी बहुत होती है जानने की। ऐसा क्यों? वो क्यों हो रहा है? इस बटन से क्या होगा? वो चिड़िया उड़ रही तो ऊपर क्यों उड़ती है? हाथी क्यों नहीं उड़ता है? वो हम बचपन में हम सब खेलते थे, मैं खेलता था, आई एम श्योर आप लोग सब भी खेलते होंगे। खेल हमने खेला है, चिड़िया उड़, हाथी उड़, घोड़ा उड़, बंदर उड़। आई एम श्योर अगर आप लोग ने भी वो गेम खेला, चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करें यस। दोस्तों जो इस क्वेश्चन के साथ क्यूरियोसिटी, दूसरा क्वेश्चन एक और जिसको मैं बिलीव करता हूँ, मैं मानता हूँ, आपकी राय भी जानना चाहूंगा। आप में से कितने लोग इस बात पे बिलीव करते हैं, यकीन करते हैं कि हमने अगर सीखना बंद कर दिया तो हमारी ग्रोथ भी रुक जाती है? इफ वी स्टॉप लर्निंग वी स्टॉप ग्रोइंग। अगर इस बात पे आप एग्री करते हैं, चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करें जे, चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करें जे और मुझे भेज दें। अगर आप इस बात पे यकीन करते हैं कि हमने अगर सीखना बंद कर दिया तो हमारी ग्रोथ भी रुक जाती है। थैंक यू फॉर योर रिप्लाई दोस्तों। इसी बात को मिस्टर बॉन्ड, सुनील जायवरी बहुत बेहतरीन तरीका से जानते और मानते हैं। मैंने इंडस्ट्री में बहुत लोगों से के साथ मिला, बात किया, काम क्या सीखा हूं। आई फाइंड ही इज द ओनली पर्सन जो बहुत क्यूरियोसिटी रहती है इनके अंदर। कोई भी घटना जब इंडस्ट्री में घटती है, कोई भी इंसिडेंट होता है, तो ये हरदम जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि वो ऐसी घटना क्यों घटी, उससे क्या बेनिफिट हो सकता है, और उसका पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट क्या होता है। एंड बिकॉज ऑफ हिज क्यूरियोसिटी, और आई कैन से क्यूरियस नेचर, he come up with this platform called जिज्ञासा, a desire to learn, जिसमें इन्होंने ये पूरी कोशिश की है कि कितने क्वेश्चंस को हम लोग आंसर कर सकते हैं, कितनी जिज्ञासा को हम शांत कर सकते हैं। सर का भी यही मानना है कि सारी जिज्ञासा शांत नहीं होती है, होनी भी नहीं चाहिए। ऑल द टाइम वी शुड हैव अ वेरी क्यूरियस अबाउट एवरीथिंग एंड वी आस्क लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चन। सो मिस्टर बॉन्ड विल कम एवरी सेशन, मिस्टर बॉन्ड विल कम विद डिफरेंट आंसर। दोस्तों आप में से कितने लोगों को याद है कि इसके पहले वाले सेशन में मिस्टर बॉन्ड ने किस विषय को टच किया था, किस पे बात की थी? तो दोस्तों आज का जो सेशन, मेरा नाम अजय बिला, मैं इस इंडस्ट्री में लास्ट 15 सालों से हूं। आई एम एमएफडी लाइक यू, सीएफपी हूं, सर्टिफाइड फाइनेंशियल प्लानर हूं। आज जो जिज्ञासा का जो सेशन है, सेकंड सेशन है। पहला सेशन 2 अगस्त 2021 को हुआ था। दोस्तों आप में से कितने लोगों को ये याद है? चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करके मुझे भेजा, आप में से कितने लोगों ने वो सेशन अटेंड किया था? अगर आपने अटेंड किया था टाइप करें जे। दोस्तों पहले सेशन में हम लोग ने बात की थी क्वांटिटेटिव एंड क्वालिटेटिव एनालिसिस ऑफ स्कीम सिलेक्शन, करंट स्पेस ऑफ द एनएफओ वर्सेस एग्जिस्टिंग स्कीम। लोगों में बहुत क्यूरियोसिटी थी कि आज जिस लेवल में मार्केट है, नया एनएफओ और उसमें इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, एंड मिस्टर बॉन्ड कम विद फैंटास्टिक आंसर, विद लॉजिकल आंसर्स कि क्यों करना चाहिए, क्यों नहीं करना चाहिए। कैन एएमसी बी ब्लेम फॉर कमिंग अप विद न्यू एनएफओ एट करंट लेवल? हम हर वक्त बात करते ब्लेम करते हैं एनएफओ के लिए कि एएमसी ने क्यों लॉन्च किया मार्केट टाइमिंग, एंड मिस्टर बॉन्ड कम विद फैंटास्टिक सॉल्यूशन। Which scheme to invest at current valuation? इस पे मिस्टर बॉन्ड ने बहुत बेहतरीन तरीका से आंसर दिया था विद लॉजिकल कि उनके हमारे जो मिस्टर बॉन्ड डॉट इन प्लेटफॉर्म में आप कैसे सर्च कर सकते हो, कैसे बना सकते हो अपनी स्कीम। इसके साथ ही मैं आज के सेशन में जाता हूं, स्टार्ट करना चाहूंगा दोस्तों। आज का सेशन नंबर 2 है, जिसमें हम बात करने वाले कि व्हाट इज इन द माइंड ऑफ फंड मैनेजर। एक फंड मैनेजर स्कीम को बनाता है, उसके दिमाग में क्या होता है। दोस्तों, आप में से कितने लोग मेरे साथ इस बात से एग्री करेंगे कि डॉक्टर को ये नहीं सीखना कि दवाई कैसे बनानी है, पर उसको दवाई की कंपोजिशन पता होनी चाहिए कि किस दवाई में क्या कंपोजिशन है। आप में से कितने लोग इस बात से एग्री करते हैं? चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करें यस अगर आप एग्री करते हैं इस बात से कि डॉक्टर को पता होना चाहिए दवाई के अंदर क्या कंपोजिशन है, तभी वो अच्छे से एडवाइस कर सकता है अपने पेशेंट्स को। वैसे दोस्तों, मिस्टर बॉन्ड का मानना है कि अगर आपको ये पता कि एक फंड कैसे डिजाइन होता है, एक फंड के दिमाग में क्या होता है कि एक फंड को डिजाइन करते हुए, फंड को मैनेज करते हुए, ये आपकी एडवाइस को बेहतरीन कर देती है। इसके साथ ही दोस्तों, मैं इन्वाइट करता हूँ मिस्टर बॉन्ड, जिसको हम सुनील जैवरी के नाम से भी जानते हैं, और मिस्टर बॉन्ड उनका एक ब्रांड नेम इंडस्ट्री में।
थैंक
यू सर फॉर गिविंग द टाइम, योर प्रीशियस टाइम फॉर अस एमएफडी। दोस्तों, उसके साथ ही मैं इनवाइट करना चाहूंगा मिस्टर बॉन्ड, जिसके बारे में मुझे ज्यादा इंट्रोडक्शन देने की जरूरत नहीं, ही इज अ वेरी वेल नोन पर्सन। मैं सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछूंगा, सर विल यू अलाउ मी टू आस्क मोर क्वेश्चन?
ऑफ कोर्स।
वन क्वेश्चन इज इन माय माइंड। दोस्तों, अगर मैं आपके सामने दो ऑप्शन रखूं, ऑप्शन ए, ऑप्शन बी। ऑप्शन ए, एक ऐसा बंदा आपके पास आए, आपको ज्ञान दे जिसको आपके इंडस्ट्री के बारे में नहीं पता है, वो आपके पेन को नहीं जानता, मेरे पेन को नहीं जानता। मैं क्लाइंट को जब मिलने जाता हूँ, क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आती, क्लाइंट मुझसे कैसे क्वेरी करती, पोर्टफोलियो कैसे मैनेज करना चाहिए, उसको कुछ नहीं पता। वो आता, मुझे सिखाता, मुझे काम कैसे करना चाहिए। ये ऑप्शन ए है। ऑप्शन बी, एक ऐसा बंदा आता है जिसको 36 ईयर का एक्सपीरियंस है इस इंडस्ट्री का, वो खुद इस इंडस्ट्री में कई क्लाइंट से मिल चुका है, क्लाइंट के पोर्टफोलियो को मैनेज कर चुका है, उसको पता है एग्जैक्टली क्लाइंट क्या पूछता है, क्या इंडस्ट्री के एमएफडीज को पेन होता है। वो बंदा आके ये विजडम शेयर करता अपना कि आपको बिजनेस कैसे करना चाहिए, बिजनेस कैसे रन करना चाहिए। तो आपको कौन सा ऑप्शन आप चूज करेंगे? ऑप्शन ए, जिसको हमारी इंडस्ट्री के बारे में कुछ नहीं पता के ज्ञान देता है, या ऑप्शन बी, जिसे हमारी इंडस्ट्री के बारे में बहुत कुछ पता है, उसने वो दर्द सहन किया जो हम सहन करते हैं, उसको विजडम है। दोस्तों, वो ऑप्शन बी में आते हैं मिस्टर बॉन्ड, हु इज 36 इयर्स एक्सपीरियंस अबाउट आवर इंडस्ट्री। उनके साथ ही मैं इनवाइट करूंगा मिस्टर अतुल भोले, डीएसपी म्यूचुअल फंड। ही इज द फंड मैनेजर ऑफ डीएसपी फ्लेक्सी कैप स्कीम। दोस्तों, ओल्ड इज न्यू। अब इंडस्ट्री में बाकी लोग फ्लेक्सी कैप स्कीम ला रहे हैं, लॉन्च कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, एंड डीएसपी ने पहले से अपनी वो स्कीम को बहुत बेहतरीन तरीके से डिजाइन करके रखी थी। And Mr. Atul Bhole is chartered accountant with more than 14 years of experience in fund management and a veteran with 2 decades of experience in research and fund management. He joined DSP in May 2016. Prior to that, he was worked with Tata Mutual Fund, JP Morgan, and SBI Treasuries. Let me invite both Mr. Bond and Mr. Atul Bhole and request them to start the session.
Thank you so much, Ajay. It was a wonderful opening. Good evening, Atul, and welcome to the show. So Atul, आज हम जो डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, I think you are on mute, Atul.
Sorry, yeah. Thanks everybody, and thanks Sunil for hosting me on your show.
Not at all, it's our pleasure. So Atul, आज हम जो डिस्कस करने वाले हैं, last week we had discussed about qualitative and quantitative analysis because it's an industry norm to do quantitative analysis, और उसके बाद scheme selection करते हैं हम, unfortunately, point to point returns, rolling returns, standard deviation, etc., which is entirely on the quantitative side. What I wanted to bring across to the audience, which includes majorly the mutual fund distributors, all our brethren only, all our friends, that there should be some qualitative analysis also, which all of us should be aware of. I'm not saying we should replicate. हमको ये replicate नहीं करना है कि हम अतुल भोले बने, but हमको ये replicate करना है, at least understand करना है कि अतुल भोले के दिमाग में क्या चलता है when he starts selecting sectors, when he starts selecting stocks, etc. What are the business cycles? आगे market चलेगी नहीं चलेगी? All these are the factors, global factors also. So when you select, create a scheme which is your DSP Flexi Cap, which is likely to which is going to finish 25 years of its existence next year. So nobody better than you to talk to us in terms of what should be the qualitative analysis and behind the scene, क्या क्या आपका पेन पॉइंट्स होते हैं, आपके टीयर्स होते हैं, आपके स्वेट होता है, जैसे हम अभी आजकल है ना, एवरीबडी इज प्रेजिंग द ओलंपियंस, द गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट, द ब्रॉन्ज मेडलिस्ट एंड द सिल्वर मेडलिस्ट, उनके पीछे उन्होंने कितने सालों की मेहनत करी है वो कोई नहीं जानता है। तो हम आज ये कोशिश करेंगे कि आपकी जो मेहनत है, बिहाइंड द सीन मेहनत, वो मैं एक ऑडियंस को प्रेजेंट करना चाहता हूँ in terms of your thought process. So I'll just start the presentation. I will ask you questions, and if you can just throw some light on that.
Sure, we'll be very happy to do that. Thank you.
So getting into the mind of a fund manager, and now all of us know who's the fund manager here, Mr. Atul Bhole. So we will get into his mind. I'm very thankful to both DSP Mutual Fund and Mutual Fund Utilities to be our co-anchors. I don't think anybody needs any introduction either to DSP or to MFU also. Is FlexiCap one-stop shop for equity investments, Atul? FlexiCap seeks opportunities across market caps like large cap, mid cap and small caps. We are talking of the new FlexiCap, जहां पर fund manager can decide कि large cap में कितना होना चाहिए, mid cap में कितना होना चाहिए और small cap में कितना होना चाहिए. The earlier erstwhile it was multi-cap, जो अभी change हो गया है, और SEBI categorization of new multi-cap is minimum 25% large cap, minimum 25% in mid cap, minimum 25% in small cap, and that 25% extra जो है, that is the fund manager choice. But I'm sure most of the fund houses have switched from multi-cap to flexi-cap. Is this a one-stop shop for investors, and why?
You're right, Sunil. I think the FlexiCap funds offers the one-stop destination for the investor, or at least to the investors who are approaching or starting with their investment journey. In the FlexiCap, as the name itself suggests, the fund manager gets flexibility to adjust the portfolio depending on the market outlook he is developing at that point of time. We have seen, actually, if you see, starting from the COVID, how the market has changed, or the rotations, how the rotations are happening. In the market, rotations have happened from पहले FMCG stocks चले, उसके बाद IT के stocks चले, then banking, cement. So बारी-बारी से sectoral stocks चले हैं. And even earlier part of the COVID, actually the large cap stocks have done well by not falling much. And then last 6 months, mid-cap stocks have done very well by going up like 80-100%. Now, obviously, they are looking a bit expensive side, and large caps offers more risk-reward, better risk-reward. So, FlexiCap fund manager can actually look at all these aspects of the market, which can be difficult for a common investor to do. And he can keep on adjusting the portfolio to these market realities. And the returns we make in the market are obviously a result of discipline and staying invested for a long period of time. But at the same time, this allocation which goes into large cap, mid cap, different sector, that also has to be rebalanced at frequent intervals or depending on the outlook of the market. So I think FlexiCap fund, obviously we the fund managers try to maximize the opportunities. I am not saying that we will capture all those opportunities. Fund manager is also a human being. हम भी आदमी है, mistakes होती है.
Absolutely, I agree. So, but you mean to say आप March 2020 के बाद आपने mid cap और small cap you would have increased the allocation? Is that what would have happened in your FlexiCap?
Not immediately after March and April of 2020, but definitely as we get more clarity on the opening up, etc. last year. So from August, September, I started increasing mid and small caps in my portfolio. So generally I keep 60-70% large cap and 30-40% mid cap. So from 30 rather than 30, I went to the extent of 40% caps in my portfolio last year.
Wow. So that means, the investors generally will not be able to manage this allocation. So this is my favorite asset class or the scheme category also, because where I would like the fund manager to take an active call whether they should be overweight in large cap, underweight in mid cap, overweight in small cap, etc. So this, do you think can be the core allocation under equity allocation if somebody is following asset allocation?
Yeah, I think this is like a should be like a bread and butter for every fund manager. Every investor. So it should be a large part of the equity investment any investor should have, and then he can look at some of the thematic fund and or the mid cap or small cap fund both. But those are likes of a side dishes, achar and salad and those kind of things.
आप उसको satellite बोलेंगे, right?
Yes, this should be the part of the portfolio having maximum.
Now, is there a properly laid down investment framework? So let me ask you this question. How much leeway does a fund manager have to move away from a properly laid down investment framework? आपने एक investment framework बनाई होगी. So first of all, is there an investment framework? I'm sure there is. And if there is an investment framework, how much leeway do you as a fund manager have to move away from that investment framework?
So you're right, Sunil. So actually every investor or every fund manager for that matter has some way of looking at markets and stocks. And we have actually put that way of thought process or framework onto the paper, and people can get that from the DSP website. So there is a definite framework, and I am more of a quality and growth investor. So that's what this framework explains, what kind of aspects I look into each stock what I meant by quality and growing companies. So that is there. So that will be like 80% of the portfolio. You know the principle of 80-20. So 80% of the portfolio like this, and 15-20% of the portfolio, I will try to capture those opportunities which arise from time to time, depending on the external environment, depending on what the company itself is doing, or there are turnaround opportunities. So to that extent, I try to capture those short-term and tactical opportunities. But large part of my portfolio is really as per the investment framework which is there on paper.
So what I hear you say, Atul, is that 80% of your investments, which is the core investment, will be based on the investment framework. Only 20% leeway you have, which you can go in and out of certain sectors, etc., as and when the opportunity arises.
Yes.
When can you make an exception to that 80%?
I think there is no exception to that 80% actually. I mean, genuinely, I believe that I should be staying invested into good quality and growing companies, and I don't want to pull out any allocation out of that 80% because I'm getting some short-term tactical opportunities, etc. So I think in investing, discipline is also very important. Actually, the most important factor to have that discipline, and I don't want to make that exception to that. Only, as I mentioned, 20% is the allocation for tactical opportunities. That's what I will limit myself.
Excellent. So I think, do you think that most of the fund houses will have some similar approach in terms of investment framework, sticking to that investment framework to at least the 80 or majority portion of their investments?
I think
we have worked in different fund houses, so that's why I'm asking you this question.
No, actually, see, there is no to get those return, or there is no one way to get to that nirvana. There are multiple ways: growth investing, quality investing, value investing. So multiple fund managers follow multiple styles. So I'm not sure what other fund houses are doing and to what extent they are following. But my only limited point is the investor should be knowing the framework the fund manager is following, and then the fund manager has a responsibility to follow that framework. And we are actually doing that very religiously in our fund house.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think आपकी जो philosophy है, which I'm just sharing it with the audience right now, is stock selection criteria, portfolio construction into core and tactical portfolios, and review and rebalancing. This is the major way in which we can break up our investment philosophy and investment guidelines. So uske baad hum one by one we will talk about it. So DSP FlexiCap framework for identifying quality business. What are the three major pillars of your, and how much importance is given to each parameter? So one is your business, one is your management, and one is your growth.
Yeah.
These are the three pillars of identifying and basing your investment philosophy. How much importance do you give to each parameter?
Right. So actually, to make money, all these three things are very important. I mean, obviously, business has to be great in terms of brand, distribution, return ratio generation. And also, we can select businesses depending on these parameters. There are few parameters which are used to eliminate kind of businesses which I don't want to buy. Like I don't like businesses where balance sheets are very leveraged. They have debt on the balance sheet. या फिर जिस businesses में government बहुत interfere करती है बार बार, I don't want to buy such companies. And also capex heavy businesses I don't like. So on the business, when you look at business, I think there are selection criteria and there are elimination criteria. Management important, and when you ask me which is the most important, I think all three are important to make money, but I would say management is the most important of it, because businesses can be made into great businesses and great businesses can be destroyed by the management. If the management is, it will take business to the next level, and if it is not good, great business can go down under. So management is very important. It is qualitative factor. I cannot say I will look this into management. Obviously, we'll get to that field having collective experience of the team, having spent 15, 20 years in the market, etc. We get that management. There are 2-3 quantitative factors like capital allocation of the management, capital dilution decisions of the management.
So we'll take them one by one also. But so that means what you are trying to say is that quality within quality is what you are looking at in the management also. And then finally, of course, growth.
Yeah. Growth is important. This is so simple. The growth is important. If growth is there, it's a virtuous cycle of growth. I mean, if the growth is there, company can invest into new branches, I mean, expansion, new brands. They can put behind more money after advertising and promotion. Employees can be hired, better employees can be hired. All these things get further growth. And if company is not growing, obviously they cannot invest behind employees, brands, expansion. So growth doesn't come. So it's a virtuous versus vicious cycle of growth. So I think it is important to be with companies which are into the virtuous cycle of growth.
Correct, absolutely. So we'll take up one by one. Now the first pillar is business, as we just mentioned. And in that business, the first criteria which you have laid down in your investment philosophy is market share dominance. If you can share some few lines on this. So we will take up each one of them. And if you can share your thoughts on each one of these pillar, your investment criteria also.
So if you are going to buy any business, I think the dominance of that company into that marketplace is very important. Or if there is no dominance, at least the company should be increasing the market share. So the largest market share company gets obviously a lot of benefits of scale. Again, because of scale, they can deal better with their vendors. They can get, they can control their cost in a much better way. And the scale itself keep on feeding into that dominance if it is better way. And typically, if you look at market dominating companies, their margins, their return ratios, their return on capital employed are much better. And such companies actually over a period of time deliver substantial returns or create substantial wealth for the shareholders. So I think this is very important aspect to find companies which are dominating in their marketplace.
So like HUL in FMCG or Maruti in the auto, is that what we are looking at, the dominance in their own space?
Correct, you are right. I mean, those kind of companies, or even for that matter in smaller sectors like footwear sector is very small, but within that a company called Relaxo is dominating and growing. So those kind of, I mean, the sector may be small, but within that sector, the company should have a dominating market share, because that bigger and better companies are becoming bigger and better nowadays because of the external situation challenges. So I want to stay with such companies.
So the company can be a large cap, mid cap, or a small cap, but they should be having a market share dominance. Is that what you're saying?
In their ground, they should be dominant.
Correct. Rapid growth, gaining market share.
Again, I mean, obviously, companies don't come born having 50% market share. It is a journey. And if any company is progressing towards that journey by taking rapid market share, or if the market is growing at say 10%, my company should be growing at 20% or 25%, so that its market share keeps on growing. And when such companies or businesses are doing these things year after year, obviously because of the compounding of profits they bring on table, the returns we make from such, that's why if you look at, if your selection of mid-cap stocks is right, such companies over a period of time deliver better returns because they are growing in nature, they are increasing their market share. So I
So
think
this is the segment which you would be ideally looking into a mid-cap space?
yes, I mean, if you are going into
So that
mid,
today's mid-cap will become tomorrow's large cap.
obviously, yes.
Sure. Then low capex intensity.
So what low capex intensity means, to expand or to continue with the business of the company did not invest huge sums of money into plant and machinery or other things like branches, etc. Because some of the sectors like telecom or power or metals, to grow these companies has to invest into businesses, and some of the businesses are cyclical or fiercely competitive, and when you do this kind of capex, you need to take loans or debt on the balance sheet. और जब balance sheet पे debt या loans आ जाता है और वो unmanageable हो जाता है, then the company then starts falling into trap. So
Right.
the low capex intensity companies don't have such problem, and also the
Will
low.
you go more towards then so like your cyclical में इसमें नहीं आप select करोगे within this space?
Yes, you're right, Sunil. So generally, I look more for the B2C businesses and less to B2B or cyclical businesses. So yeah, because of
So
following
steel वगैरह will not be part of your horizon, investment horizon?
steel, you mentioned
Steel.
yeah, yeah. So steel companies, metal companies, for that matter, don't fall into this core strategy. I can play steel in the tactical part of the portfolio if I'm confident about the management of that company.
Right, understand. Funding through internal accruals.
Yeah. So in a way, it is a fallout of low capital intensive companies. So again, if a company is growing, that is good. It is important to make money. But if that growth is coming at a expense of diluting the share base or raising money from market again, the company grows, but number of shares also goes. So per share earning or profit doesn't go or doesn't grow in that proportion. So actually companies which grow through their internal cash generation, those companies per share earnings keeps on growing year after year, and the compounding effect it brings.
So
So
Asian Paint can be one of them in terms of the criteria?
yes, so if you look at last 50 years or last 20 years for that matter in the public market, more visibility, they have not raised money. So the per share earning or profit of that company has gone up a lot. And those are the kind of stocks where a lot of wealth get created.
Correct. And then finally, low cost structure, low equity dilution. So this is what you've already just answered. That
Correct.
these companies do not come into the market again and again for funding, and that's the reason the shareholder valuations go up over a longer period of time by retaining the profits of the company.
Yes.
Second, so Asian Paints के बारे में if you can just throw some light as to first pillar, which is the business. As I just discussed with you, Asian Paints was one of the examples. So just few lines on how do you select Asian Paints under this business category?
Yeah, so as we discussed in the previous slide, so Asian Paint, if you look at business wise, their brand is very strong. They are dominant to the extent of 50% of the organized paint market is controlled by Asian Paint. They have spread across length and breadth of the country.
So let's go back to that slide and see where it fits in. Yeah.
So Asian Paint has market share dominance because they have like 50% market share. And even at this size and scale, the company is still behaving like a challenger. So they are still growing. Maybe market share is not growing to that extent that fast, but still the company is growing faster than other companies into the sector. So it is still growing. The paint sector has a lesser capital intensity compared to, say, as you just mentioned, steel, cement, or power, etc. So they need not come to market again and again to raise money and to fund the business growth. So the existing shareholders are benefiting to that extent, and they're getting dividends, etc., at regular intervals. So that adds to returns. Again, low cost structure is there, and because of this low capex and low cost, they have the growth for last 40, 50 years is through internal accruals. So that's why we have seen this company was able to generate for the shareholders over a period of last.
So it's really literally fitting the entire criteria of your investment framework on the first pillar, which is the business side.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the second pillar, which is the management side. So focus on core business. What do you mean by that under the management criteria?
So as I mentioned, management, when I look at management, there are a lot of subjective things like how is the management honesty wise or competency wise. In terms of some of the objective areas, how you can judge management. One is focus on core business. That means how they are allocating the capital. I think every person has a right to win in one area or two areas. Beyond that, it is like jack of all trades and master of none. So similarly, companies should focus on one or two business lines rather than trying to enter into multiple lines of business. Because when they try to do that, sometimes even the core area gets lost. The focus
Correct.
gets suffers. And when they invest big money into newer businesses, they become successful sometimes they don't become successful. ROE, ROC of the business goes down, etc. The worst case is when they start new business, huge debt comes on the balance sheet and everything can fall into a big trap. So I think
Right.
I want my companies to focus on core business and increasing their market share in that core business.
And that's how the long-term orientation into the core business is part and parcel of the management criteria,
Correct. Yes.
right? So
Yes.
one of the companies which you had mentioned is Relaxo under the management. So some idea on this?
So again, like as I mentioned, this is the dominant company of the footwear sector now. In last 10 years, they have become big part of the footwear sector. There is a lot of unorganized part of this footwear, but within organized, they are very dominant. And there is singular focus to the management that they want to sell only simple chappals. They don't want to, they are not even going into shoes category and all. And their average selling price is around 200 to 250 rupees or below that.
Wow.
And they want to master that market and they are becoming dominant. They have started with north, then west, and now they are going to south. So the focus is one, selling simple chappals at affordable
For a
price.
country like India, this must be a huge market for them, this segment.
Yeah. So I mean the potential is huge, like 140 crore population of India. Even if they do two chappals a year, that is like 200 crore chappals a year. So this company has long way to go, even with their limited product offering.
Okay, wow. How interesting is this? I'm sure the audience is understanding and appreciating कि छोटी छोटी कंपनियों में भी कैसे इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं and what all thought process goes behind selecting these stocks. Now let's talk about the growth, competency and perseverance. Atul, we lost you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yes, sir. You was asking about competency and perseverance.
Correct.
So I think companies do sort of go through a lot of challenging times because external environment is becoming very challenging and all. So in this environment, if the company show growth and keep on growing through market share gains, etc., that shows how the management is competent and how the company is showing the perseverance in terms of continuing with the growth rates. So that gives a lot of confidence in staying invested with such companies. And as I just mentioned, growth is the sort of only way to create sustainable long-term shareholder value or wealth creation. So I think this is, from that perspective, is very important for the companies to keep on sort of maintaining the growth rates.
So superior growth rates compared to the peers and the industry, is that what this means?
Yes. So having superior growth rate for long period of time creates wealth for the shareholders. And there are ample examples in Indian markets also to understand how this has happened.
So if you can throw light on Bajaj Finance under this criteria of growth.
Yeah. So as you know, Sunil, this is touted as the most expensive finance company, and at every point of time, say 1,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees, people were saying that it was expensive stock. But the management kept on investing into the business, newer areas of business, the technology, etc., newer products, and they continue to get 25-30% kind of growth. Obviously, last 3 years has been challenging because of demonetization, COVID, and all. But the but uh, uh, DNA of the company is to deliver 25-30% kind of growth for long period of time, and that's how, and they are investing for that. So for next 3 years growth, they keep on investing today. And such companies we have seen in last 10 years, what kind of magic they have created for shareholders.
Correct, absolutely. So we have covered the three main pillars of your selection criteria: the business, management, and the growth factor also. Now let's go into the portfolio construction, the structural and the tactical themes. So determine long-term structural themes, and what structural theme have you identified as a long-term structural theme in your FlexiCap scheme?
So I think fortunately India has lot of structural themes in play. I think consumption and the finance side of it are the long-term structural themes for us to play, and we have seen examples of that in terms of in 20 years in terms of private banks, some of the NBFCs or consumer FMCG or discretionary companies. So those are the structural theme in my portfolio, and I always stay invested into good companies from those sectors. So those are the two main things, and we have number of companies to stay invested. Export is another theme, and the sectors can change, or stocks can change, but we have very good IT companies, very good pharma companies. We have good chemical companies to choose from this structural theme. So
Which
these
is
are
the export theme, the structural theme as in the export theme.
export. Yeah, within that we can make changes,
Sure,
etc. But these are the structural themes for Indian investors.
correct. So core allocation to structural themes and balance to tactical themes. So how much is into structural theme, and what is the breakup of structural versus the tactical? Is it again 80-20?
Yeah, so you're right. So structural themes, I mean, those quality stocks across banking, finance, consumption, export are forming like 80% of my portfolio. And the rest of the 20% has kind of opportunities where I see some triggers playing out or turnarounds happening, maybe in next 6, 9, 12 months. So those are the 20% of the portfolio with short-term tactical ideas.
What are the tactical ideas currently which you are playing on?
So I would say if you look at the portfolio last month fact sheet also, there are tactical ideas like Tata Steel in my portfolio. Now I mentioned that I don't like.
Which is going away from what we just discussed.
Yeah,
so that's
so
a tactical call.
yeah, it's a capex heavy government changes, government being on making changes. There is debt on the balance sheet, ROEs are low, but the steel cycle has turned. So that is a trigger point in this company, and they're reducing their debt significantly in last 3 quarters or so. So this is a tactical opportunity for me to make some money, and I had entered into this stock at a price, and I will exit at a price. So that's the way. This is we can say a live example how I deal with this
So
tactical short.
basically a tactical call is generally with a price band in mind कि इस लेवल पे हम इन्वेस्ट करेंगे और इस लेवल आ जाएगी तो उसके बाद हम इसको एग्जिट करके प्रॉफिट बुकिंग करके we'll look for another tactical theme.
Right. Yes, you're right. So for this kind of short-term tactical ideas, there has to be entry points and exit points pretty well anchored into your target prices.
Excellent. Now let's go into portfolio diversification. So number of stocks restricted to how many? And what is your benchmark index?
So for the FlexiCap fund, the benchmark is basically Nifty 500 total return index. So that is one. And secondly, in terms of number of stocks, so I believe in having a diversified portfolio. So I typically have like 60 to 65 stocks in my portfolio, which gives me opportunity to sort of capture many ideas which are there in the market. As I mentioned, banking, consumption, pharma, exports, etc. So we have a number of structural.
ज़्यादा ये 60-70 stocks का diversification reduce नहीं करता है opportunity of creating generating wealth for the investors, or is it just the opposite of what I'm saying?
No, I think so. There is Sunil. There is no. I mean, science behind this 60-70. I think this is the kind of diversification work for me in the past, and it works better in terms of risk reward. So I know people say that concentrated portfolio views can generate better alpha and
It will work the other way around also.
Yeah, it can work other way also. So it's like a two-edged sword. A concentrated portfolio is like a two-edged sword. There can be a price correction or there can be a time correction, meaning a big weight stock. If it doesn't go anywhere for 4 5 years, then it's a big drag on the
You see,
portfolio.
Reliance did not deliver returns for quite number of years, I think, almost 8 9 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, I missed.
Reliance.
Happened in the past and it is happening with some of the other index heavyweights as we speak also. So good kind of diversification actually help you manage this kind of risk in a much better way. And it also helps reduce the pressure points the fund manager faces. Because if a big weight corrects or it doesn't give returns, I may take wrong decisions at wrong point of time. Ultimately, as I said, fund manager is also human being. So risk, I go for diversification.
And what is your average breakup of large, mid, and small cap, and what is the current breakup?
So average, I would say broad range is 60 to 70% large cap and 30 to 40% mid cap. Last 6 8 months, I had 40% kind of mid and small caps in the portfolio. But now I am already in the process of booking profits in that space and putting that money into large cap. So currently also I am now 37% mid cap and 63% kind of large cap stocks in the portfolio. But as I said, it is changing towards large caps now. So that is again the advantage of FlexiCap.
Cash call?
No, Sunil. So the investors and advisors generally take that call to invest money into the equity market. So I don't take cash call.
Asset allocation is left to the mutual fund distributors and investors. You are fully invested at all times, except for of course 4-5% for redemption pressures, etc.
So attention is towards selecting right stocks for my portfolio rather than those calls, cash calls.
Yeah, asset allocation is generally the call of a mutual fund distributor or an investor.
Because they know the in and outs of investor. I don't know every investor's, financial health, his age and all. I don't know. That has been done by the distributor.
So now you're going to complete 25 years of this GSP FlexiCap. So what is OFO?
So basically, there are so many NFOs coming into the market, and this is actually idea of our CEO and MD, Mr. Kalpen Parekh, that if we have a fund which is their track record is in front of all of us, and also we are making our philosophy and strategy clear that what kind of stocks I'm going to buy in this fund. So it is much better solution or offering for the investor rather than a new fund offering, because in a new fund offering it creates a lot of excitement because the unit at 10%, but I think it is a big fallacy that 10 rupees NAV is a cheap NAV, you are getting the
that's a big fallacy there, which unfortunately the investors are not learning from their own past mistakes also. But I had discussed this topic of NFO versus existing schemes, and I had mentioned very clearly nothing wrong with NFOs as long as it fits in with your investment philosophy, it fits in with your asset allocation, and it fits in with your maybe tactical call kind of a situation.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that, but just want to know, since OFO was there and it's a new nomenclature which Kalpen has created, old fund offering, and I really liked it.
So I will just say that our fund is a known devil and NFOs are like unknown devil. So
that was my first this thing, known devil versus unknown devil, when I was comparing existing funds versus NFOs.
Okay, great.
I'm sure Atul, you may not be aware as to how good you have done or performed, and this is the way we do our ranking analysis. So we do ranking based on the rolling returns analysis on a daily 5-year rolling returns basis. Based on that, we come up with this data. This is our ranking calculator throws up this. So there are 3 very important aspects which we cover. First and foremost, industry average. So industry average from 2011 to 2021 on a daily 5-year rolling was 13.55%. Your scheme has beaten the industry average almost 65% of the times from 2011 to now on any 5-year rolling basis. The other criteria we do and give you ranking based on which you are ranked number 5 out of, I don't know how many, 30 or 40 odd schemes in the industry, in the flexi cap space, which were in existence in 2011 onwards, is higher returns in higher returns bands. जैसे rolling returns हम करते हैं, तो नीचे एक observation chart आता है 0 to 5%, 5 to 10%, 10 to 12%, and so on and so forth. उसमें जो आपके returns higher है in higher returns band, we give you a ranking and points which is on the higher side if you are on the higher side.
Okay.
Based on that, you are ranking number 5 in the industry.
Okay.
And most important is, this is what we call investor high return score, IHR score. And on IER, investor experience return score, you are ranking number 2 in the industry, which is that IHR score divided by standard deviation. So we are taking care of the volatility index also, and based on which we are giving you the ranking. Unlike the other ranking methodology, which is based on the recent past performance, our ranking takes care of all the good, bad, and the ugly based on the rolling returns analysis, and that gives consistency. आजकल की जो ranking हो रही है, that keeps changing every 3 months, 6 months, if you have performed very well, or if you perform very badly in the last 6 months or 12 months. But our ranking will actually throw the right picture for the investors to select from.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm sure you must be surprised in terms of how you are positioned versus the peers based on these 3 important criteria.
Yeah, this experience score is very important for the mutual fund investors.
Exactly. And I believe in that consistency and investor experience is more important than just chasing returns.
Correct. Yes.
Now let's conclude this with fund managers' experience and track record. We know you have a 20 years experience in the fund management research and otherwise, and 14 years as a fund manager also. So you want to elaborate on this?
Yeah. So basically, I was working at SBI and all before joining Tata Mutual Fund. So I joined Tata Mutual Fund in 2007, and I think from there the actual journey of my equity investing in a much organized way started. I mean, I was always sort of, while studying, also interested into equity market. So that was sort of my passion. But during those years, I started as research analyst, tracking IT, media, technology companies. After a few years, I started banking and finance also sector as a lead analyst. So those were the years I gained most. And I think for a fund manager, it is very important to be a kind of a research analyst always. Like
very important. I totally agree. You know why I'm asking you this question, though I know what your background is. At least the MFDs who are participating today must know who's Atul Bhole, because you know DSP doesn't have the star fund manager criteria or any such thing, but the work which is going behind the scene has done wonderfully well as far as you and your team is concerned. How did you design investment framework? What went behind your mind to create this investment framework which you've just discussed?
Yeah. So actually, again, this kind of investing was coming natural to me. Since I started managing money, I used to follow this framework, but not very sort of, it was not on the paper. But here, after coming into DSP again, we Kalpen thought that if I'm already doing that, there is no harm in letting it know to the people. Actually, as a shopkeeper, as a buyer of anything, we expect to know everything of that commodity before buying. Investors should have a right to know how the stocks are bought in the portfolio, how the fund manager thinks. So that's how this designing of the investment framework and putting it on the paper came out. Actually, I was already doing that. What we did in last 3-4 years is just to put it in paper and publish widely so that everybody knows that what kind of portfolio one can expect from.
Do other fund houses do this, something similar, or is it a norm or is it an exception?
No, I think it has started off late. Few of the other AMCs have also started putting out their fund managers' thought process or framework onto paper so that people can take more informed decisions. And I think it is a very good trend in the industry which has started with this.
Excellent. What is the turnover ratio of your scheme? Because one of the qualitative analysis which I had spoken while discussing it last week was to look at turnover ratio also of the fund of that particular scheme.
Yeah. So the turnover ratio or churn ratio of my scheme is for last year has been like around 46-47%. So you can call it as it is. It hovers around 50%. That means I am changing the portfolio every 2 years.
Oh,
That,
wow.
that
And what
way
is the
some-
industry average?
So industry average,
I've
I
seen
would
100% plus also in some of the turnover ratios.
Yeah. So industry, very few funds are actually lower than our portfolio, maybe 25-30%, but some of the funds have actually, goes beyond 100% or 120, 30% also. So that means even within less than a year, they churn the portfolio, change the portfolio.
Okay, so you're way below the industry average in terms of the turnover ratio.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing because you have conviction. That's the reason why you would be sticking around with your stock selections also. How many schemes do you manage? The schemes to fund manager ratio is also one of the important criteria which nobody bothers asking.
Yeah. So I just manage 3 schemes here: the FlexiCap fund, equity and bond fund, the equity part of equity and bond fund, which is aggressive hybrid, and dynamic asset allocation, which is a balance advantage category. Again, only equity part of it. But
Okay.
the point to note, Sunil, is basically I don't build separate portfolio for each of the fund. All these 3 funds have similar portfolio, stocks wise, etc. Because I follow a particular investment framework, and it should not be different for different funds. So virtually, you can say that I'm managing one scheme through 3, 4.
So that means you're giving a lot of your time, energy, and effort to look after your 3 babies who are basically combined together. They're like one baby only.
So I am feeding the same food to 3 babies and not different food to different.
Amazing. So that's also very, very good because that's one of the criteria which I've advocated people to look for. And then finally is investment style, growth versus value, top down versus bottom up.
So as I mentioned, and we started, it is broadly my style changed towards buying quality and growth companies. But having said that, it is more of a bottom-up stock selection process, and I do that stock selection through these pillars of business management and growth. Looking at these pillars for any business, bottom-up stock selection.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Atul. Let me just go through 2 more slides, which is mutual fund investments are subject to market risk also. This is my book, which is going to be coming out shortly, Think Hatke.
Yeah.
2 books which are already there in the market, Pearls of Financial Wisdom and Make Your Destination a Journey to Remember, both available on Amazon.in, sold more than 30,000 copies. I'm on Twitter. I'm sure many of you follow me. I am Mr. Bond is my Twitter handle, and that's the same one for my YouTube channel also. And finally, let me conclude with mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully. Thank you so much, Atul, for a wonderful session. I think it is an eye-opener for most of the participants today, because I don't think anybody has bothered looking at this side of the qualitative analysis by going behind the mind of a fund manager. You've literally gone behind the mind and asked you questions which are probing questions, and you have been very candid in answering all the questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunil, and thanks for the opportunity. Actually, you are doing a great work of this investor education. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Atul, Ajay ji.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Atul ji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I listened to many fund managers, but I find you explain the things in a very simple term, in a layman language.
One second, Prashant, if you can bring her. Yeah, perfect. Please, Ajay, continue.
Thank you for that, Atul ji. You explained the things, in fact, technical jargons in a very simple term. I always believe fund management job seems to be very simple. कि करना क्या होता है, या बिजनेस को देखना होता है, बिजनेस देख लो, मैनेजमेंट देख लो, ग्रोथ स्टोरी देख लो, और कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट फ्रेमवर्क लगा दो, फंड बन गया, वो मार्केट चलेगा, तकदीर साथ देगा, फंड परफॉर्म करेगा, फंड में करना क्या होता है. But it says that okay, let me put in this way, and you also answer, Atul, and I request Sunil sir to answer also. Doing meditation is a simple thing or not? I ask everyone in the audience, doing meditation is a simple job or not?
No, it's very difficult. Very difficult.
सर सुनने में तो सिंपल लगता है, करना क्या होता है, बैठना सिर्फ सांसें लेनी, आंख बंद करना, मेडिटेशन हो गया, बट इट्स नॉट इजी जॉब. And with that note, I can say that doing a fund manager job is really very tough. Seem to be simple but very tough. And thanks, Mr. Sunil Javri, Mr. Bond, to ask so beautiful question, to dig it down. He always says it depends on the question to the right person in the right way to dig the information which we required. Thank you so much. With that note, Mr. Bond always says a very simple thing. It's not our job as a MFD to replicate fund manager. But yes, when we understand the mind frame of the fund manager, how we manage the fund and what the qualitative and quantitative measures he take, that really help us to take an informed investment decision. दोस्तों, आप में से कितने लोग इस बात से एग्री करेंगे कि आज का सेशन विल रियली हेल्प अस टू अंडरस्टैंड द फंड. एंड आज के बाद हम जब फंड को देखेंगे या किसी फंड मैनेजर से बात करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली हमारा नजरिया अलग रहेगा बात करने का. इफ यू एग्री विद मी, टाइप एग्री इन द चैट बॉक्स. एंड दोस्तों, इसके साथ ही हम लोग ने कंप्लीट किया दूसरा सेशन जिज्ञासा के ऊपर. पहला सेशन क्वांटिटेटिव के ऊपर था, सेकंड क्वालिटेटिव के ऊपर था. एंड थैंक यू मिस्टर बॉन्ड टू शो अस द ग्राफ कि क्वालिटेटिव के साथ में क्वांटिटेटिव कैसे काम करता है, कैसे फंड को नंबर के साथ सिलेक्ट किया जाता है. थैंक यू दोस्तों रेस्पॉन्स करने के लिए चैट बॉक्स में. Our next episode will be held on Monday, September 6 at the same time of 6 p.m. दोस्तों, जिसका सेशन हमने स्टार्ट किया था क्यूरियोसिटी के साथ, इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ क्यूरियोसिटी, तो लेट मी एंड दिस सेशन विद दैट क्यूरियोसिटी कि आने वाला 6 सितंबर को मिस्टर बॉन्ड कौन सा एक नया टॉपिक लेके आने वाला है. एनी गेस? राइट इन द चैट बॉक्स इफ यू हैव एनी गेस कि मिस्टर बॉन्ड कौन सा नया टॉपिक लेके आने वाले 6 सितंबर मंडे को एट 6 p.m. दोस्तों, ब्लॉक योर डेट्स, book your diaries, do not miss the session for anything. It is going to be awesome and very exciting. And congrats, Mr. Bond, for your new book.
Thank you, Ajay. What we are planning to do is first Monday of every month and third Monday of every month, जिज्ञासा रखेंगे. इस month में, because of my next week's travel schedule, I had to keep it in 2 consecutive weeks. But हम कोशिश करेंगे at least every fortnight. So आपको बार-बार बुलाएंगे नहीं, but we will be at least adding value as and when we call you. That's the promise which we give all the audiences.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We all are going to wait for your session. अनूप जी, सेशन हिंदी में भी होता है, इंग्लिश में भी होता है, मिक्स करके भी होता है. It's always choice of a speaker. Thank you so much. दोस्तों, book your diary, book your calendar. मिलते हैं हम नेक्स्ट सेशन पे, जिज्ञासा के सेशन 3rd पे. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Atul.
Thank you, Sunil. Thanks, Ajay.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, everybody. Thanks.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.